everybody. This is Dell. Welcome to Dell on Movies. And today we're continuing on with our project where I'm barreling towards coming up with my top 25 movies since the year 2000. And we are going to tackle the year 2001 today. And there are some fantastic movies that came out this year. Lots of movies that I tried to cram in and tried to make them into my top 10. But alas, it's a top 10. So let's go ahead and get started with my number 10. And this one is 61. This one is a baseball movie. I'm a baseball fan. I grew up a baseball fan. I grew up a Yankees fan. And this is a movie about the Yankees and their glory days, 1961 in particular. And not only does that 61 actually doesn't even mean 61, it really means 61 home runs hit by Roger Maris that broke the record that was set by Babe Ruth some almost 40 years before. And there is an asterisk next to it. Yeah, there it is. There's an asterisk next to it because in the record books at the time, some people believed that it should have an asterisk. And reason is the season was slightly longer when Maris played than when Babe Ruth played. And this is about the battle to reach that number between Maris and his soon-to-be Hall of Fame teammate Mickey Mantle, the much more known person, the superstar of it, and the toll that it took on both men, in particular Maris. And so we basically get a if you're familiar with Michael Jordan and The Last Dance, we get that kind of thing, but in a movie, in a narrative movie directed by Billy Crystal. This is one of my favorite baseball movies of all time. So I had to have this one on the list, and it gets better and better whenever I watch it. Number nine is a movie that a lot of you are going to put at number one, and sorry, I barely squeezed it into my top 10, but it's there. It is there because it is a really good movie. For me, this is the best of the trilogy, even though this is not the one that got the Academy Awards. This is the first movie, and I'm talking specifically about, you see, this is the three film collection. I'm talking specifically about the Fellowship of the Ring. Um, for me, that's the best movie of the trilogy by a pretty good margin. And yes, these are movies that continue, honestly, to go down in my estimation because of the length. I don't do the extended cut. This is all I have. I don't have the extended cuts and special editions and all that stuff. I only need the theatrical. Nonetheless, though, it is a movie that is ahead of its time visually. The storytelling is excellent if deliberately paced, because yes, as people will tell you, there's just a lot of walking and talking, and I get that. But it still works, at least for me. So I don't knock anybody that says they're bored by it, but I was not, and it is good enough to get my number nine spot for the year 2001. Number eight is a movie that also has a lot of talking in it, but a lot of more people. I wouldn't say a lot more people like this movie, but you get a lot less people telling you that this movie's boring. Let me put it that way. This movie is a more of a gangster movie, and I don't know how much of a gangster this person really is. Nick, my man, shout out Movie AB Impulse. That's my guy. He's expert on gangster mafia and movies, and that's the man right there. But this movie is Blow. So tell me what you think, Nick, if you see this video. Blow, based on a true story of the man who basically uh, bought cocaine in California, at least powder cocaine, at least part of the story, because we find out later on that the CIA is heavily involved in real life. But anyway, this movie chronicles that and Johnny Depp. This is basically Johnny Depp, for me, pretty much at his finest because he's not doing the Johnny Depp shtick. Let me put it that way. The thing that he became known for with all of the Tim Burton movies is just put him in a bunch of white makeup and watch him act crazy, uh, which he did without the white makeup in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. And you could argue that the first one, Curse of the Black Pearl, is his best performance. I wouldn't argue that, but Blow is right there for me. Fantastic film. Um, Depp, as you've never seen him before, is how the cliche goes, but it really is as you've never seen him before, well, I wouldn't say quite since, because there is yeah, there's that other movie, but I'm not going to mention it. Let's go ahead and stick with Blow. That takes me to the number 7 spot. And number 7, this is a movie about one of my idols, the all-time greatest, the GOAT, one of the people who the term GOAT was coined for, because he told you that he was that, and that was Ali, the greatest of all time, and that was Ali. Muhammad Ali, the movie is Ali, played by Will Smith. And while we're talking about best performances by an actor, by a given actor, this might be uh, Will Smith's best performance. He is, first off, he is not the Will Smith persona, right? He's ditched that for this movie. He's not Mike Lowry from the Bad Boys movies. He's not, that brash, confident guy from Independence Day. He's Muhammad Ali, and he pretty much disappears into this role. And I believe he was nominated for Oscar, and he deserved the nomination for this. And it's not a full life biopic. It's one of those biopics where it takes a section of a person's life and hones in on that. And the movie's better for it. Michael Mann directed it. The boxing scenes are some of the most uniquely filmed boxing scenes in movie history. Um, how well they work kind of depends on the viewer, because some viewers are just not going to like the way that they're filmed. I really do. I really love the way that they're filmed. Um, but yeah, Ali is a phenomenal film. Gets my number 7. Number 6 is the first. Is this the only one looking at my list? No, not the only one, but the first foreign film on this year's list. If you remember my video for the year 2000, we had one foreign film there. And this time we got several on the list. And this is the lowest ranked of them, but it is still a great film. And this one is Itchy the Killer. If you can see this on video, it is still wrapped in plastic, but I have seen this movie. I had it on DVD for years. I did watch it on that. And there is an animated movie on this list, but this is as close you can get to an animated movie without actually being one. This is a live action R-rated, very nearly NC-17 rated anime. It's live action anime. And it's not, I don't say the NC-17 or X um, because of any sexual things. There are some sexual things here, but it's really about the violence, which is just crazy over the top. And you see some things in this movie that you'll never see again. You've never seen in any other movie, or if you have seen it in another movie, they got it from this movie. This is Takashi Miike, uh, one of his most well-known films, and he's directed, I think, over 100 movies. But this one stands out. So if you want to see what a live-action, bloody, gory, crazy anime is like, this is where you should go to. Number 5 is the opposite of that. It's not insane over the top, at least not from the same standpoint as Itchy the Killer. Itchy the Killer, only things that can only happen in cartoons happen in Itchy the Killer. This movie is over the top in a different way. It's just over the top in the execution of a heist. And when I say that, if you know the year 2001, then you know that I'm talking about Ocean's 11. Yes, this is a remake of a Frank Sinatra film from the 60s. And here they just do this. This is just one of the coolest movies ever made. Whether or not it's one of the best, it's just one of the coolest movies, right? Everybody in the movie is just cool. The way they interact with one another is cool. Their chemistry is amazing. Of course, you got George Clooney being George Clooney, Brad Pitt just also being super duper cool and walking around eating things all the time. And then you got Don Cheadle and Bernie Mac and Matt Damon and Andy Garcia and Julia Roberts. I mean, the cast list just goes on and on and on. I know I missed some people, but eh, um, everything about this movie is just, it just oozes cool. And when you watch it, you can't help but fall under uh, the hypnotism, fall under their spell, so to speak, of watching these guys get together, plan a heist, and then carry out this heist. And sure, when you sit back, you can pick apart some things. There's no fun in that. At least not with this movie. This movie rises above that. This movie is immune to that. Like I said, it's just cool. So Ocean's 11. It deserves a spot right there. Next is my number four, and this is the second of three foreign language movies and the first of two animated movies on this list. And this one, some would argue this is better than the other animated movies that I have, and I wouldn't argue with you one bit. But this movie is Spirited Away. And this movie, first time I saw this movie, I was just blown away. Um, the animation style is just crazy, and it's 2D animation. It's not, this isn't Pixar trying to push the envelope forward with a bunch of 3D CGI and all that kind of stuff. This is 2D animation, uh, but very creative, very imaginative, and then the storytelling is as imaginative as the art, and they make it all work. Our protagonist, the young girl who we're following for this movie, we fall in love with her, and her plight affects us, and then so many fantastical things are happening, and your first watch you might be just flat out confused as to what is going on, what is the deal here, and then it just all comes together and makes this wonderful film. So Spirit Away gets my number four. Number three is pretty much on the opposite end of the spectrum as Spirited Away. It's not foreign, it's American. It's not fantastical and wonderful and all those kind of things. It's just gritty and it's definitely not animated. It's a live action cop drama. And that is Training Day, guys. Training Day is it's just one of those movies that just works. Again, you can put the screws to it and go, yeah, it's a long day. Can he really do all that stuff in on that day? Just that day? That's the where you start at. And some of the things are crazy, but as you're watching it, you don't think about those things. You just think about the crazy things that are happening. You think about Denzel Washington taking Ethan Hawke and putting him in some of the wildest predicaments possible, and seeing if Ethan Hawke can get out of it, or and well, not or, but we're also thinking about what exactly is happening with Denzel's character. Is he a bad guy? And eventually, before we get to the end, that question gets answered, and then how do people around him feel about him, and those questions get answered, and it's just a great watch. No, it's not Denzel's finest performance, so shut your mouth if you said that. But he is great in this movie. He is wonderful. He is one of the best villains we've had since the year 2000. I'm just gonna put that out there. Um, his performance is memorable. It's a memorable one. He was rewarded with an Oscar for this, and but do not sleep on Ethan Hawke. He is also really good in this movie, possibly his best performance. Um, we can go back and forth with a couple other movies, but Training Day gets my number three of 2001, which brings me to my number two and my third foreign language film, the last one, the highest ranked one on my list. And this is probably the least seen of the movies, of any of these movies on the list, to be honest with you. But people who have seen it swear by it. As far as coming of age movies goes, I mean, this is right at the top for me. This is right near the top. It may not be the number one in that category for me, but this is not far off. And this movie is a Spanish language movie. This is let me get the glare because there's some white print on there. But if you know the picture, it's Itu Mama Tambian, and it is just a great coming of age story. Um, I don't know what to say about this movie other than we got two young men. We got this woman who's quite a bit older than them, and they kind of go on a road trip together. And well, not kind of. They go on a road trip together at uh, at their request because they meet her, and then they find out that she's going through some things, and she goes with them on this trip, and kind of things just kind of progress. And we're in it with them every step of the way. We see how their friendship with each other evolves and is affected by this trip. And as she is getting to know them, how she evolves, or some might even say devolves during this trip, and how the relationship between the three of them develops. So it's not as complex as I'm making it out to seem, but it's more complex than it is on the surface when you're watching it, if that makes any sense whatsoever. But yes, as far as coming of age movies, for me, this is very, very much near the very top, at the very top of this year's list for me. 2001, my number one film of that year is another animated film. And this one speaks to my sensibilities as a viewer and just my thought process. I am very much into movies that decompose genres. Okay, movies that decompose genres, and with that in mind, going back into the '90s and now going forward, this is why a movie like Scream can be my all-time favorite horror movie, and that's, yeah, I call that. But this is why I call that. This is why that's my all-time favorite horror movie, because it not only deconstructs horror, not especially slasher flicks, but it is also a good flick itself, utilizing the same tropes that it's making fun of during its runtime. Well, that applies to this movie, and I'm talking about the OG Shrek. Yes, there's all four of the Shreks here, but I'm talking about the first one. Um, it deconstructs fairy tales, especially the Disney-fied versions of fairy tales, and it does a masterful job at doing that, while at the same time being a really good fairy tale using some of the same tropes. Yes, it subverts expectations along the way, and then it adds in a ton of pop culture references, some of which have nothing to do with fairy tales, but they all work. And for me, that's why Shrek is my number one movie of 2001. And I get it. I get it. Some of these other movies, you're probably going, hey, there's no way Shrek is better than those movies. Well, not for you, but for me, that's what makes it my number one movie. And I'm good with that. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. I'm sticking to it. I do have some honorable mentions, and I will put those pictures up right after me, in the words of the immortal words of Beyonce. Pop, 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 pop. Pictures will go all up, all over the place. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys, man. Go in the comments. Give me, what do you think of my list? Share your list. What are some movies I missed? Whatever you want to do. Again, be mindful of one another. Let's be respectful out here in these YouTube streets. And like I said, that's all I have. So thanks for hanging out with me. And if you've been here before, thanks for hanging out with me again. Catch you on the next one. Bye.